Last night's Sister Wives, season 18, episode 2, had a total bombshell that no one saw coming. No one hinted at, the kids didn't hint at, nothing, which is this whole gift exchange thing. And I want to point out, I've already done one video on it. I think we'll be discussing it all week and dissecting it because it's wild. It was hugely inappropriate. You know, Logan, as the oldest child, tried to set up something with the kids. I imagine that part of his thought process was like, well, Christine's left. I want everyone to feel included. You know, there's all these problems in the family, but us kids are still siblings. Let's do something. And then I'm not sure if Robyn got involved just because she was like, well, I've got to be in the middle of this, or whether maybe they were asking about Ari and Solomon being included. And so she would have to be invited because, you know, Ari's not getting in a car and driving to the post office to deliver a gift. Although the older kids could have handled it and say, hey, I'll take care of Ari and Solomon. But that's not what happened. But what stood out to me was a reference to Hunter, because I'm doing a rewatch and Robyn has been on top of Hunter for seasons. She complained that Hunter didn't seem happy enough when she announced she was pregnant. She said Hunter never accepted her. Hunter had a problem with the kids. Now, Hunter at this age, I think was like 14, 15, and he was in deep, like, I am not a therapist, but he looked like he was in deep clinical depression. You know, everyone talked about how much Hunter was suffering, how difficult it was, and then here's this grown woman going on and on about how he's not happy enough about this and he's not happy enough about that. And she mentions it, it feels like every few episodes. And I'm like, because we're doing the rewatch, I'm like, she needs to get off his back. He is still legally a child, and he's a young man, but he really struggled. And I've never heard, maybe when he was younger, but he's been really quiet for seasons and seasons. He doesn't have a YouTube channel complaining about them or anything. And so when they said that Hunter said something, I was like, I knew that Robyn went absolutely ballistic when Hunter said something, because she has always had a chip on her shoulder about a child who is only a couple years older than her own son. You know, in terms of the power dynamic, it's ridiculous. And then Gwen said something, I guess, that try to ease the tension, and it made everything a million times worse. And I'm like, well, isn't that interesting that, and Gwen on her channel, I've watched her channel from time to time. She clearly has some problems with Robyn and Cody, but she is, to a degree I don't enjoy, been a little too generous, I feel, in her opinion of like, oh, well, that's understandable. And I'm like, no, it's not. But, you know, I'm not criticizing her. I'm just setting the reference for the fact that Robyn got all over her. And then, of course, they didn't attend her wedding. You know, they showed up 2 hours late, which means they just attended part of the reception. They probably, unless they had like a 5-hour Catholic wedding or some other kind of wedding. I know Catholic weddings are long, but mine was like 20 minutes. But unless they had a super long wedding ceremony, they missed the ceremony. They just attended the reception. So it's really interesting how you see all these problems. And she apparently has problems with everyone who wasn't her kids. And it is a mother's job to protect her kids. But sometimes, especially with adults, you kind of need to let them have their own relationship. But she is so hell-bent on this narrative that no kid ever accepted her, no wife ever accepted her. Somehow they were the victims who suffered the most, even though it's completely obvious that basically what Cody did was abandon his first families, get a new family. The kids say that they never really saw him again. The wives said they didn't really see him as much anymore, that everything really shook up. But somehow Robyn is the victim of all that. And they're the ones who have suffered the most, which sounds a lot like Cody's long-term mantra of how difficult life he has. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Robyn's the eternal victim. And all of the kids who lost their father and all the original wives who lost their husband are all the bullies. Yeah, that makes sense.